If you haven't seen Bridgerton on Netflix, I suggest you jump on there now, watch that, and then come back to this. Welcome to your Millennial Unfiltered Mother podcast, aka your mum podcast. I'm your host, Christiana, and welcome back to another episode. Glad to have you back. So I haven't recorded an episode like this before. Of like talking about a show that I've seen and stuff like that. But Bridgerton has been living in my head rent-free since I watched it. And there were a few things I wanted to sort of talk about. Some things I got from the show. Now, this isn't so much a review of the show. It's not that type of podcast. But there are a few things that sort of happened on the show, that went down on the show, that I thought would be great to sort of give my viewpoint on. So I know that some of my opinions are unpopular, because as I've spoken to some people about it, people are like, oh, it's a love story, it's a great romantic, this, that. And I'm sat here going, am I the only one who literally like found this show absolutely toxic? I mean, I don't know. So I'm going to delve into why I found some of the things in the show a little bit problematic. Some of these are unpopular opinions, and that's fine. It's my opinion, and I'm going to let you know about it. So again, if you haven't seen the show, I suggest you go and watch it before you listen to this episode, as I may be spoiling some things for you as I talk about what I took from it. But it is a great show. I definitely recommend you watch it. It's set, I think, in the 1800s at some point. I'm not too sure. The fashion is great. Loads of inclusion. In terms of the cast and stuff like that. I do kind of feel like the inclusion part of it was a bit contrived. I say that because, yes, there was when you see sort of old school shows like this, you very rarely ever see sort of black cast members and stuff like that. So with this one, it was like, whoa, like I was literally like taken aback. From the beginning, thinking, rah. But then as I kept on watching the show, I was just like, I don't know, there's still sort of spare part-ish, if I'm being honest. Some of the leading roles are played by black people, mixed race people, but that's neither here or there. This isn't what I wanted to get into. But I still definitely recommend watching it. Such a great show. I'll give my rating at the end. So, yeah. Briefly, you get your young, eligible ladies coming into the new season, come to find a man, honey, come to find a husband. And, the way they go about doing it is amazing, classic. They dance, they talk, they are presented and things like that. I loved all of that. But I'm not going to get too much into what the show is about. Go and watch it. This isn't IMDb podcast. So what I wanted to sort of delve into is mainly sort of Daphne and Simon's relationship and what I sort of took from it to be problematic. So initially they weren't feeling each other. Yeah. They weren't on each other. I mean, come on, they were, but they weren't at the same time, which is great. Lady Whistledown was coming for them in her little article. Love Julie Andrews, by the way. It's literally my favourite person ever. So Lady Whistledown was sort of writing certain things about them that weren't really cool and that was sort of messing up their whole vibe and image or whatever. So they come to so initially their relationship began as like an arrangement between them to help each other out. Listen, I'm trying to find a man. And the best way to do it is to basically look desirable because I've got the most eligible bachelor out there. And he's like, listen, I ain't trying to be married. I ain't trying to have no kid. Like, I don't want none of it. Yeah. So use me as you will, but just be warned, I don't want it. Do you know what I mean? So that's how their relationship, to me, started. And that already is just a faux pas, because I'm like, come on, yeah. Someone down the line is going to get hooked. But let me not even jump right into that. So I kind of feel like the way they started was problematic, because even though they were pretending not to feel each other, come on, you're feeling each other. Use each other. So you're using each other. You both know what you want from each other. That's great. That's open. That's honest. I actually felt like that was a good thing. Now, it's working. Their plan is working. Do you know what I mean? Guys are approaching her. It's all good. None of them are really that great suitors, but that's all good. And he's just sort of coasting, not having to basically work hard for anything, because he doesn't really want anything. Do you know what I mean? What was good was that a genuine friendship between the two of them was being developed. And I am a believer that great relationships start that way. You know what I mean? Even when you're sort of dating someone, if you meet someone on a dating app, if you meet someone just out on road, you know what I mean? And you spark up a really good friendship. You're relaxed. You're not sort of trying to sell yourself or present yourself as something. Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, that for me as well is problematic. You're being yourselves. You're talking. You're engaging. Your banter is aligned. Do you know what I mean? Like, you bounce off each other quite well. And I always tend to feel like that's a great way to start relationships. That's a great way to start anything. Do you know what I mean? Just sort of building that foundation, being friendship. So you could really see that genuinely happening between them, which I kind of felt was good to see. But I'm telling you now, yeah, that for me, okay, if it was me, that would be where I'm just like, okay, let's regroup. Are we still, is our intention still aligned here? Because I'm now starting to get used to you. Do you know what I mean? And that's from when you need to just realize, okay, this might have started off this way, but it's now starting to move this certain type of way. And Simon had a chance to hook up with someone and he didn't go there. Again, from there, you have to ask yourself, why didn't you go there? Do you know what I mean? It's because I'm starting to feel this chick a little bit more than, I imagine I would from the beginning. So from there, brethren, it's when you should need to walk away, because you know that her intention is to marry. That this is literally why she's doing this, to marry. And you know that you're not trying to do it. So again, from there, I was a bit like, I'm not feeling this. Yeah. I was like, leave her alone. Yeah. Because now you're starting to catch feelings, but you're not, equipped to give her what she actually wants and needs. So, okay, they're obviously feeding each other. Da, da, da. This is now where I was a bit like, okay, don't piss me off. When the prince comes into the picture now, the prince is there. He's ticking all the boxes, babes. Good looking. He's the bloody prince, for crying out loud. Do you know what I mean? And he's into Daphne, like he's into her proper. This point was when she obviously is not in too deep with Simon. Do you know what I mean? But at this point, why are you still trying to find a man? She should still be trying to find a man, because that is ultimately her goal. Do you know what I mean? But why are you carrying around this dead weight of a guy and still carrying on this sort of whatever, when you know that it's not going to affect your chances of finding what you truly want? So for me, I was a bit like, I ain't feeling this union. I know loads of people were just like, oh, just realise you love it at this point. But no, maybe I'm too much of a pessimist, but I was a bit like, run, girl. This ain't it. The prince is doing everything. Do you know what I mean? It's all making too much sense. This was basically the goal. What you were trying to achieve is literally being achieved in front of your eyes, but you've got this dead weight of a guy just sort of holding you back. And then we started to see more of why Simon was so against marriage and children and all of that, because of the relationship he had with his dad, which wasn't great. And I wasn't really a fan of seeing that whole thing, but that was part of the story, and that's fine. So when his dad was on his deathbed, you really got to see why he literally was not trying to do that. And you could see the conviction in his face, like, the bloodline will stop with me, and that is it. So, and I kind of felt, yeah, okay, valid. Okay, that's how you feel, that's how you feel. Do you know what I mean? But at this point, you're in this girl's way. And his aunt, I forgot her name, literally was like, okay, you're being selfish now because you ain't trying to, you're not trying to go beyond this point, and you're holding this girl back. You can tell, like, you're both getting close. You're holding this girl back at this point. So when he decided to dip, I was pissed because I was like, why did you wait? Why did you wait till she's basically in love with you before you dipped? This is what guys be doing. Yeah, trust me. Guys, they will let it get to a certain point in the friendship, in the relationship, in the courtship, in the situationship. And, they will let it get to that point due to their own selfish needs. Do you understand? And it gets there, and that's when they go, do you know what? Nah, I don't really want it to get too serious. It is already serious. You should have been dipped. Do you know what I mean? But then you chose, when I'm desperately in love with you, to be like, nah, and go. Is it crack? Are you mad? So that part just that part just pissed me off, because I was like, nah, you are really not about to play me like this. Like, I'm not having this. Trust me, I was literally Daphne when I was watching this thing. I was like, nah. So fair enough, he did that. But I was still thinking, well, look, when did this arrangement that you both had together stop being the arrangement? But when you caught feelings, so all of a sudden the arrangement ain't the arrangement. Do you know what I mean? When did it stop being? When did it start being a problem? You've got what you've been looking for in the prince. Use sense. Do you know what I mean? And go where you're wanted, where you're appreciated, where you don't have to compromise anything. But you see, this is the women of today. She wants the one who doesn't want what she wants. Their wants are not aligned. But that's what she wants. Okay, now they've kissed or whatever. She's now rotten goods. Yeah. For lack of better words. Yeah. They now do the duel. And okay, so this is the old school era, I'm not going to try and make sense of all of that stuff. That's just what the show is. Okay, cool. And then the way she's all rides through, and it's like, well, you're going to have to marry me by force then. That's it. And I'm just like, nah, come on. Nah. So for me, I was Team Simon from that point on, because I was like, she's basically forcing this guy to marry her. She tried to find any loophole, any kind of thing in order to be like, well, kiss me, so you have to marry me now. That's it. Do you know? Even knowing full well this ain't what he wants, she's like, by force, you must do it. Do you know what I mean? So from there, I kind of was like, this girl can't just be expected happiness, because look how you've done this at this point. Do you know what I mean? So when she's all walking around with some miserable face, I was like, well, you deserve it, because you've just forced someone who told you point blank and period and throughout he ain't on it to be on it. Whatever. They're married now. Whatever. All that 3 episodes or 2 episodes of mad sex scenes were just annoying, but they were very necessary to the story, because it's like, she's now sort of becoming her own woman. She's someone's wife now. And I kind of felt like, maybe she was like, yeah, this is it. Do you know what I mean? This is basically what their married life is like. It's just going to be them two. And then I just kind of felt like, all right, you're getting a bit greedy now, looking into the nursery, longing for children. Man, been told you. So when they were having an argument about the fact that when he said, I can't have children, but it was like, she clocked that he won't have children, I kind of saw it as, well, what's the difference? What is the difference? Do you know what I mean? I kind of felt like that was her whole argument. The fact that he said that he can't have children as opposed to won't. Do you know what I mean? But I was sort of kind of thinking, well, what's the difference? Do you know what I mean? Like, and what's your point? That's not deception, in my opinion. I was looking at it like, that's not deceiving if he says he can't have kids. Because wouldn't the natural thing to ask why? Did she ever ask why? So don't now have forced him into marriage and now be now questioning why he won't have. Is everything by force? Is this what us women are like? Are we just forcing these men to be doing these things now? Like it just bothered me. It really, really bothered me about how these things came to be. I kind of felt like she was sort of throwing her toys out the pram a little bit. You know, she wants, even though it was made clear that he didn't want the same things. I don't know why you'd want to be with someone who wants different things from you. Or because you love them. Is love that deep? And that's an actual real question. Is it that deep? That if we don't want the same things, yet I love you so much that I'm willing to not have those things. That was never the case for her, because she looked for any excuse, for any reason to take things from him that he didn't want to give, without really finding out the true story behind it. So that kind of got on my nerves a little bit. Trust me, at this point, I was annoyed. I wasn't rooting for them. I didn't like them as a couple from the start, and I didn't like them as a couple at the end. And that's on facts. Because I just kind of felt like their whole transition was problematic. Yeah. So, you know, and you know, I kind of felt like he needed time to come to that conclusion himself. Like, he needed to deal with all that trauma and stuff like that. But he was kind of forced to deal with it. He was kind of forced to kind of... And maybe for some people that would be a good thing, because maybe you do need that nudge for you to sort of get over, you know, all the things that you went through and stuff like that. But like this, nah, I'm not in agreement. I weren't feeling it. I didn't like it. I loved the show, but I hated Daphne and Simon's story. You know, it ended with them, you know, so obviously, yeah, they got married even though he said they didn't want to. That was great. But then it ended with her realising how you get pregnant and realising that he can have children, and she just sort of forced the issue. She even tried to just... You know, how she even tried to just get pregnant in the first place was problematic. It was not cool. I don't know how anyone... It's not... Anytime I've spoken about this, they're like, it doesn't matter. It does matter. She was too forceful. She was too like, take. And I just didn't like it. So yeah, she got what she wanted in the end. You know, he seemed happy. I'm not too interested in the progression of their love story. I don't care. Do you know what I mean? I personally am not feeling them. I don't like it. Even the way it ended, I don't know how they're going to continue with the series. I kind of feel like they're going to have to focus on other stories, because that Daphne and Simon story is concluded. Do you know what I mean? They got married, they've got the baby, they got the happily ever after. I really don't care about what happens next. I don't care about how Simon is as a father. I just don't care about their story, if I'm honest. I'm very much interested in Eloise and seeing how her story plays out. She was my favourite character in the whole thing. I think she's misunderstood. I think there's so much to Eloise for us to learn, and I haven't read any of the books. I'm not going to read any of the books, I'm not going to lie. But I definitely want to learn more about Eloise, so I'm looking forward to a season where, you know, it's mainly about sort of her and her progression. And her progression doesn't necessarily have to be being married. You know, and I kind of feel like if any season that comes out is about Eloise sort of trying to sort of marry. I don't know. I just really want to see where the story goes with her. She was my favourite character, I think, in the whole thing. But yeah, like I said, this wasn't much of a review. This is me just ranting about how much I just did not like Daphne and Simon. I loved the series. I wasn't sort of smiling and cooing at the end. No, I was just like hating, I think, on the whole thing, because I found their love story problematic. You know, I get they're trying to sort of perpetuate the love conquers all types of issues and all types of fears and stuff like that. I kind of feel like that was the main sort of thing, but I don't necessarily agree with that. Yes, love conquers a lot of things, but is love and having chemistry enough? No, absolutely not, in my opinion. I kind of feel like you just have to be on the same page in life. You have to want the same things for things to work. You have to be friends, yes. You know, you have to have a good bond, a good friendship, in my opinion. And you have to want the same things. No one should feel like they were made to make such a decision or made to do something. You have to want the same things. And I think that's why I wasn't really feeling their story. I just kind of felt like they were both in different places. They were both, the compatibility, I guess, in terms of chemistry and friendship was there, but everything else wasn't there. So does that conquer everything? No, in my opinion. But it did in this instance, so maybe I'm wrong. But like I said, these are unpopular opinions and I'm giving them anyway. Watch the show. And let me know what you think. You can just leave comments on my Insta, M.U.M podcast, or send me an email if you want to join me for a chat on the podcast. But I look forward to speaking to you on the next episode. Thanks for listening. Bye.